We are Legion.
What is happening, YouTube? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Tuesday. That means new books are starting to trickle out for the week. Gives us a good chance to talk comics and some other stuff, since we both have the middle of the day here free to do it. But before we get into any of that, check this out. I just thought about how disinterested I must look, like while I'm talking and saying this. I'm like looking down and messing with bags and boards.
That's all right. I'm not even getting a front on you here. I'm trying to set all the tags for my video that's going up in a little while.
Multitasking.
Yes, there we go.
How do you find time to do this so much? Multitasking. It's part of it. If you can't do it, quit now.
Yeah.
Quit
I
now.
accomplish a whole lot of nothing, but I do that in multiple categories at once.
Well, there you go. That's how it's done. So I'm just trying to go and throw some bags and boards together. The kids are asleep at the moment. I don't think it's going to last long. And I just feel like trash today, so I don't know how long I'm going to be on. But we do have the Comics Kings already stopped by. What's up, buddy? I was able to hop on one of his live shows earlier this week in the chats and hang out briefly. And they're fun to watch talk. That dude has so much enthusiasm and energy. It is infectious. Loved watching him.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
That's what people like about you.
That's what I like about you. You really know how to dance. I don't feel like I have a lot of energy yet. Maybe because I'm always tired.
Maybe today.
Yeah.
Most days you do.
Yeah, my head just hurts really bad. Which, like, just bobbing my head just then was a horrible idea. Man, I've been running around all morning, been home briefly and thinking about the other running around I need to do, including going to pick up Justice Society of America World War II that dropped on disc today finally, and I forgot that it did that, or I would have picked it up while I was out earlier.
Oh, is that the new movie?
Yeah, the background and the thumbnail for this video. It's that new DCU animated movie. So I'm hoping that we get some kind of context to the new animated universe continuity, because it all ended with the Dark Side War, and we've had two movies since, which one was just like a standalone Superman intro and origin, and the other one was a period piece, almost like a 70s Batman Kung Fu style thing. But we know that Flash was what reset and ended the continuity, and it ended like with just him running into the Speed Force to correct the timeline, and that's how they finished it off. As we all know how Flashpoint's in. And this new movie is set in World War II, but you have both Flashes. So I'm wondering if maybe like Barry, this is like part of him running through the Speed Force to reset it. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be cool if the Dark Side War gets addressed by him. Like I would love that, so that we have a new timeline, a new continuity, but it still is still one running one. But anyway.
Yeah. So it's all in one universe now?
Well, it had been from the Flashpoint movie all the way to Dark Side War. They would do random one-shots every now and then, but it was like it was like the MCU. They just, the next movie added to the last movie to the last.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Last time I really remember watching a lot of the DC animated movies, it felt like they were just like movies. Yeah, I didn't realize they were connecting them like the MCU.
Yeah, they were hard connected all the way from Flashpoint forward. You would have individual one shots like Superman Red Sun or Justice League Gods and Monsters that were individual to standalone trades.
Yeah. But, I always thought of them as like the same characters in the same universe, but I didn't feel like there was any connection necessarily from movie to movie.
Most definitely is. Flashpoint, Flashpoint, I guess that's like 10, 12 years ago now. but it led
Good
into
Lord.
Justice League
How old are
War.
we getting?
Let's not talk about it. But the Flashpoint was the start of it, the shared universe thing, and then the Dark Side War, or Apocalypse War, whatever. I think it was called Dark Side War in comics in the New 52, and it was, the Apocalypse War. It was Justice League Dark. The Apocalypse War was the end game of the DCU animated universe.
Oh, that's cool.
Freaky Louie, you can watch that new movie via going to buy it from the stores as of today on disc, or you can digital download it. It's been available for I think 2 or 3 weeks now. So Google Play Movies, Vudu, Movies Anywhere, you can buy it any digital platform at all other than Apple because don't support them. Support any and everyone else. And I have nothing against them personally. Their model for how their products work and function is just makes no sense. It's stupid. The hell with Apple.
Yeah.
And just to break it down for you, Freaky Louie. That was fun. Thank you, Nick. Heyo. Hey, what's going on? I'm glad we got a couple people in here now. Now that we do, Ryan, take off and tell everyone about what's going on the Cosmic Campfire.
Yeah, so I put out a video yesterday, and I want to do. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Moth Story Hour or the Moth Story Slam or any of that kind of stuff, but basically they pre-COVID they they had these events where they would hold like an evening in major cities. Here in Houston, it was off of 610 in Richmond. It was a pretty cool little spot. And, people would pack in pre-COVID and they would have people go up on stage and speak to the audience, also pre-COVID and what they would do is there would be a theme for the evening. And so people would come on there and they would tell stories that connected to that theme in some way. Some people would tell dramatic stories. Some people would tell just interesting stories or unique stories or funny stories, but it all kind of encapsulated a theme. And so I thought that'd be a great thing to do for the comic book community and have people come tell stories that, are personal to them, because that kind of opens you up to the community and offers a way for people to connect with you so you can make new friends and things like that. And, I thought it would be cool to do that here. So that's what I'm trying to put together is kind of a live show where a couple people show up and tell a story. And the first theme that came to mind was origin stories, because comic books, why not? So, if you have a story to tell that you feel in some way defines even a part of your personality, it doesn't have to be, where I came as a complete person, but something that you feel is a cornerstone of your personality or something. I did the toy unboxing the other day, and I got to share a show that I grew up on called Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys. And through that unboxing and telling that story, I feel I connected with a lot of people, and I was able to kind of show where sci-fi and that type of storytelling and those types of characters really came into my life, and that's something that I consider very much a cornerstone of my personality. So there's all kinds of origin stories we have. It doesn't have to be how you became a superhero, although, stories about children and how they changed your life are welcome as well. So if you have a story to tell, reach out to me. Talk to me on Instagram or Twitter or here on YouTube or wherever. Send me a message, and that way we can put this together.
Very cool. Yeah, and I like how on your video, which I recommend everybody go on your channel and check out your video, but on that you describe it a little bit more detail, like when you actually do the show, dropping the comments and not highlighting anything and just spotlighting that one person. So it's almost like there's no interaction. It's just listening in that moment. And then afterwards kind of going back and highlighting those comments and everything. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I wanted to think of how can we create a stage-like environment, and that's one thing about being on a stage and having a microphone while everybody else is in the audience is it's very difficult for somebody to interrupt you and throw you off your guard, because these stories are something that you know how to tell, you don't want to interrupt a good flow. And so I wanted to kind of like silence the audience, but I still want to have the audience there because I feel like that interaction is important too. And so like in between people's stories, that way we can have some audience interaction, but at the same time they're not distracting as we go through somebody's journey.
Absolutely. And my main man, E-Man from the C-List Villains podcast, I dropped the link in the chat, and TM Nerdy put up a video for everybody so that they don't feel left out of the station loop, because the point of station is to not leave anybody out, but to include everybody. And it's so cool what they've got going on and where it originated from. It is a Bill and Ted reference, just it's a funny word in place of hello, greetings, be excellent to everybody. But he does a great job of breaking it down, where it came from and why the certain group in the community are the ones that have brought it to everybody else, and the importance of spreading it around. And it's really cool. It's such a cool little thing that started with the Backlog Bros, the PCP Army, the crew from Robbie's and them. Great guys. Love all those dudes. And yeah, and TM does a great job breaking it down. What is up, Pocan Joe?
That's a real fan there.
Fam. Got a handful of wires, so I can't chat, but I'm listening, y'all. Well, I hope they're not live wires. If they are, put them down. Put them down.
It's not worth your life, man. Just watch the
show. All right. So it is the first part of New Comic Book Day, and I've got a stack of books. I'm excited to get them. And to be honest with you, now that I got them in hand, I'm like, I was kind of more excited about the idea of them. I just don't feel like reading today. I think all it is, my head hurts, man. But
yeah, I totally get that.
Like when I woke up, I was going to read everything today, like I did last week, and just enjoy having read everything. But I got Batman the Detective #2. I wasn't excited about this when it first came out, but then I read the first one and I enjoyed it. Looking forward to getting into more Tom Taylor Batman. It's so much more enjoyable than Tynion's Batman. So dipping back into Future State, got Future State Gotham. So I'm excited to see the Red Hood hunting down masks. And I'm wondering if, if the Future State run where it looked like he was just straight up working for the magistrate, if there's going to be a new angle that they take with this, like they like in the Red Hood and the Outlaws, he seems like he's running around like an outlaw, but it's more Green Hornet style, where he's really a good guy masquerading as a bad guy so that the bad guys trust him, because bad guys don't trust good guys. You got to be a bad guy. But anyways, Tynion's Joker #3. I'm excited about that. If you watch Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks on the Comic Vets channel, this is my pick of the week. Justice League Last Ride by Chip Zdarsky. Super duper pumped for that. Tom King.
Yeah, I'm excited for it for sure.
Tom King still crushing it on Rorschach. So I'm excited to get issue 8. So it's getting close to the end. So a lot of stuff's about coming to light. I'm sure. Superman #31, which I did kind of check this out. Not a continuation from Action Comics. It's definitely a continuation from the last Superman. So the books are finally split. And then finally, everybody, I did pick up that Joker #3, 1 in 25 sad Jim Gordon variant. He's so sad. Look at him. He's like, oh, shucks. Oh, fiddlesticks. I feel like that's something that a man of this age with a mustache that powerful would say when making that face. Oh, fiddlesticks. Oh, shucks. Oh, I lost my pension in the housing market. Oh, oh. That's the face you make when you lose your 401k. Oh.
Going back to that Superman, I am glad, or I'm assuming at least, that they went back to that storyline that we were on, because I was enjoying that. It was weird that Action suddenly decided now it's time to split.
Yeah, so it's split, and man, the art, I'm spoiled already from the artist who took over Action last issue, because my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've spoken about that on the channel as well. Flash by Night, how in Future State we have we had no backstory or context to the disbanding of the Justice League. We just had the new one, and they talked about them like they're on a pedestal, and their code and their rules were so important, but we didn't know why they split. We just knew it was taboo. And I think the first person I heard mention that was Pocan Joe on Blasting and Assassin Comics. He mentioned it that this might be a little bit of filler to get us to show us how it got to that point, which would be cool because it talks about their greatest cosmic threat.
Well, I hope it's not just filler.
I mean, like literal time filler. You know what I mean? Like from current continuity to future state continuity. We have a big gap in the Justice League story.
Yeah. I am hoping that that's where that heads, because I want to know how we got there, because that was a great way to open Future State Justice League. Like, oh, by the way, everything you know is wrong. And it was cool to see like the new team come in. So I definitely want to see how we got to that point. But I also kind of want to see that new team.
Yeah,
hopefully this gets like a sequel series that explores the new team.
It's either can be called the Sad Jim variant or the 40 Nun K variant, because that's the face you make when you lose it. I'm pretty sure I was in Army Cadets military camp with that comic vet years ago. I don't know. Not sure how old you are, Trav, but there might be a couple of years between y'all. Fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks.
Chat's jumping here. Boom, 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 boom. And there's the link for the Cosmic Campfire. If you guys haven't subbed up, Ryan over here, go over there and check it out. He's got a lot of cool stuff that he's working on. He's I don't want to say he's rebranded the channel because it's been branded the Cosmic Campfire for a while, but he's taking some cool steps to actually
I think I'm trying to focus everything right now.
Focus on the platform space that he's created and actually have a unique purpose to it outside of just standard comic anything. It's really cool. And I'll be honest with you, like as soon as I saw that video, I'm like, oh man, like I'm a supporter of this channel. Like I don't know what it is. I'm a Patreon member, and make sure I stay up and up on your content. And as soon as you're like, I want to let people come on and tell stories, I'm like, oh Christ, I hope he's not expecting me to tell a story. That's outside of my wheelhouse. Like, can I just make up a lie? I hope
you're right, man. You're such a liar. Like somebody as talkative and outgoing as you just don't think about what you're doing, but you are.
Well, that's the thing. Like you just nailed it. I don't think about what I'm doing. I just get on here with no pre-planning whatsoever and just I hit live without thinking what should I start this with. I just hit it and go. Inviting me to a platform or a forum, like I was nervous as hell on Rigged. I was nervous as hell on 10 questions. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a start time to it. I didn't click the live button. People are asking me stuff. I'm like, what? So to go up to a podium and I do social speaking, like behind a podium to an audience. I haven't done it much since COVID, but for a specific reason, I do it and everything. And it's nerve wracking every time. But once it gets rolling, it's completely different. But it's absolutely nerve wracking.
Yeah.
As Flanders. Tank Comics, what is happening? And I'm still impressed with his mustache, dude. Like, that's even a small picture on the screen, but that's a powerful mustache.
Right?
Miss So, what is happening? Yeah, sub them up. Sub them up. Yeah, have you, do you have any people in mind when you did that? Started thinking about doing the storytelling event?
No, not really, to be honest. I mean, I talked about it like there was some stuff that like got chopped out in editing because I didn't want that video to be too long. But one thing I talked about is and I think this made the video, but Chris from Cardboard Crazies, he had done that video where he told that story, and I was like, that's really cool. Like, I like that people feel like they can expose themselves, you know, on their channel in front of a camera, you know, just like get honest. I think that's like when you think about like all the crappy stuff that the writer's strike and reality TV and Mark Burnett brought to the world, One of the greater things was when in those seasons, like when the cast would get more comfortable with the camera, and then they would be like in the rooms, like in the back, like actually talking about, all the messed up stuff in their lives or whatever, and like how they kind of expose themselves as a real person and not just the personality in those shows anymore. And so, like, I think that's great that we're getting to this point where people are getting comfortable enough to express themselves into the world through a camera like this, especially in a time period when we're kind of locked away. So I think that kind of hit me like that. But then there's also a part where I talked about Dave from Mark Spector Comics, how like he's this really cool guy that I really enjoy talking with and engaging with in chats or like whenever we're on screen together. But the type of content that he makes isn't really in my wheelhouse. And so it kind of comes off, unauthentic to me. Like either I'm watching your videos because I like you as a person, and so I just want to interact with you, or or the other side of that is like I'm watching something I don't really care that much for just because. And so like I feel like this is like another facet for people to express themselves. So like he could come on my channel and like make that connection with people outside of just like the collecting and hunting side of the hobby, so things like that. I wanted to kind of create a space where like people could get to know each other in different ways instead of only having to engage through content that maybe that's not the aspect you like, but you do like the person. So
Yeah. Good stuff.
I just want to make friends. I'm a lonely guy.
I'm just saying
What
there's
can I
no
say?
reason for me to try to follow up on what you said because you're so well spoken at times.
At times,
just,
yeah, I'll give you that.
I hope you weren't going to catch that, but yeah, at times.
Other times I feel like I just like vomit words and hope people pick up on something.
Dude, I do that. That's all I do is vomit words. I don't even remember what I say like 3 seconds after I say it half the time. Like you can
That's
catch that. Like
that's a regular argument for me and my wife. She's like, "Well, you
vomiting,
said yes." I'm like, "I honestly don't remember what you said." She's like, "But you said yes." I feel like you're hanging on one word here, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't the important one to me.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, DC had a decent week this week. There's also some Spider Shadows coming out tomorrow. So we have 2 big books from Zdarsky. There's 3. We had Urban Legends came out today, and he's doing the front story in that. I dropped it from my pool because the only story in it I care about is the Zdarsky one, and I can't pay $7 for a 10-page story.
Yeah,
That's just not biblical. It's not right.
I was surprised. I don't know if you had any conversations with them, but I was surprised that Chris the Comic Vet took Time Before Time over Spider Shadow #2 because he seemed to really like Spider Shadow.
He is completely methodical and structured and smart about what he does. He picked Spider Shadow when it first week it came out. So if you watch his content, you're not missing it. So he doesn't want you to miss something else that you might not know about. He's already told you about Spider Shadow, so he's on to the next thing. Then you have me, who's just like a geeked out fanboy. I'm like, Superman came out last week, but there's another Superman this week, so try it out. Like I thought about that after I made the video. I'm like, dude, he's kind of more structured with his, and I'm just throw it at the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for going with Time Before Time because the book looks really cool. I like the premise, and like you said, I mean, he shouted out Spider Shadow #1. I knew he really liked that book, and so I kind of expected him just to go with it because of how much he liked the first one.
The week it came out, I had to go with my second pick of the week because I knew, like, finally there's a good Spider-Man book coming. I'm not taking that away from Chris because he always waits on me to send him my picking video. Then he picks after that. And I'm like, there's no way I'm picking Spider Shadow. I'm not doing that to him. This dude needs a Spider-Man win right now.
Right. As bad as it's been lately.
Franchise.
The franchise.
Yeah, he's big on this. We need this Flanders thing to happen. I feel like the plot is being scripted in the chat as we speak.
Right? There's
Yeah.
just going to be a screenplay delivered at the end of the chat.
See, what else? Jeff Johns disclaimer and Gary Frank's Geiger #2 come out tomorrow. And I mentioned to you how I was like excited and shocked that it's coming out on time, and you also reminded me that with Image they expect a certain amount of issues ready in hand before they go to print. So I think you said 6, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of held it over Jeff Johns' head how I feel about that. But and so there's probably a certain bias to me that I've come across this information, but I have heard multiple sources mention that Image had to do like a phone had to do like phone calls to some major retailers because they had to basically promise 6 issues were already done of this book in order to get some of these major retailers to pick it up because they had a lot of customers that were ordering like Doomsday Clock. And then because of the delays, their order would come in and they've already forgot about the book. And so by the time it showed up, they didn't want to pick it up anymore. And they lost some money behind that. So they don't want the erratic scheduling of a Jeff Johns book. And so that's what I had heard is that Image Heads and Jeff Johns and the artist there as well all had to sit
Gary
down
Frank.
and Gary Frank. Yeah, they had to call around to several stores, especially some larger locations, and promise them that 6 issues were already ready to hit the printer and go out the door. So that they would go ahead and pick it up.
Well, despite all the negativity that surrounds Jeff Johns, I'm still in the camp that I get excited for his writing, for the possibility, and he is a good writer. And you've mentioned this before. If he'll put his attention into his talent to deliver to the fans that he has because of what he's written and quit spreading out so thin that he can't deliver on anything, that would be appreciative. Otherwise, you're kind of just spitting in your fans' face unintentionally. You're trying to be the everyman and you're turning into the nobody. But
Yeah.
Gary
I
Frank
mean,
is
my
like in
thing
my
is
top five
like,
favorite interior artists currently. Like
yeah.
he's just fantastic pencil work.
My thing is like, I would never bash somebody. Like I have a family, right? So if the opportunity to write a comic book and the opportunity to write a movie came along at the same time, I'm gonna write the movie because that's money, that feeds the family. So I've never faulted Jeff Johns for wanting to be in that world, and not leave it. But I do feel like he is somebody who has figured out how to game the system because as a screenwriter, as a movie writer, like you don't, unless you are a superstar script writer, like Aaron Sorkin or something, like you're not going to get the level of fan interaction that you will get being even a mediocre comic book writer. Like there's no walls, there's no barriers between us and the creators of our favorite comics. And I feel like Jeff Johns abuses that system. I think he likes being a comic book writer because he gets to interact with the fans and it's such an intense relationship, and that probably feeds his ego. But then he goes to do movies because that pays the bills and that makes the money. And if that's how he's going to play it, then at least make sure you're scheduling your time properly. You're supposed to be a professional, so don't overbook yourself on movies or comics and then not deliver on something. Just be a professional. That's all I'm saying. You have fans. There are people right now that want to do your job, and they're looking at you going, "Oh, I could do your job and like not show up to meetings all the time and not hit the deadlines, and that'll be all gravy whenever I'm a comic book creator." And what if we end up with the generation of comic book creators that literally just don't line up? That we get a whole generation of comic books that are not on time, and people fall out of love with comic books because it seems like the industry is going to crash. So that's my thing. If he's a professional comic book creator, just be a professional comic book creator, but don't try to overschedule yourself, or else you're looking bad on the whole industry. So that's my Jeff Johns rant. I see.
Yeah, that was perfect timing then because that was work it called. I have to work on my off days. That's just how it works. I have to always answer my phone. But that was perfect timing. They're asking how a water hose worked. So
That might just be the way I talk, Mars. Yeah, I don't know. I know he got a call and he hit mute, but it shouldn't have affected my audio.
And I don't think it was my phone. I don't know why, but when I hit mute, I hear it on my end. His audio gets a little choppy. Anyone, whether no matter if I'm
Hmm.
hosting or if I'm on somebody else's show, like when I'm hanging out on Burks and I hit mute, I hear it start getting choppy. I hope it doesn't. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so it turned into a whole Forrest Gump moment, but that's all I got to say
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
That was weird. Well, you know what? That was pretty
So yeah, pretty
interesting.
much
This
heard
one
like
then.
my thought on Jeff Johns and then a bunch of nothing until it became and that's my thoughts on Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Oh man.
You cut out all the middle part perfectly for them. Nobody had to
Yeah.
listen to all that good.
But they got the emotional gist of it, so they already know it. It was a
Right.
strong intro. I'm just going off what I heard because I had a phone. But what I got it. I know where you stand now, despite the phone call.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I think Warner Brothers came in and cut it.
Right.
Oh man, we heard it
Oh, the
all. It was
conspiracy.
fast and high pitched. We did hear it.
Oh yeah, that was probably just me.
Yeah.
I get passionate and then I start to talk really fast and a very high pitched.
It sounded like Mickey Mouse just then. Oh boy.
The South Park
Oh man.
episode.
Ryan, did you? I know you don't watch trailers for movies that you're excited about. That being said, that means you probably watched the Carnage trailer, right?
Actually, no, I haven't watched it. I
Wow, it's
saw.
horrible.
I think I've seen one GIF of or GIF or whatever you want to say, uh, or something. It looked like maybe I don't know, but yeah, I haven't seen the trailer, so I don't know. Everybody keeps talking about Venom making breakfast, and I'm just like, what is going on? This
Dude,
sounds like a
it
fever
opens up
dream.
with like some campy music and Eddie walking around, and it looks like parts of his body that shouldn't be shown in a PG-13 movie are sticking out, grabbing things, and just
Ugh.
it's absolutely stupid. It's like I put in that chat last night. They turned it into like a Three Stooges skit with Eddie walking around and Venom Tentacles just making him breakfast and slopping it on the table in front of him. Like, here's your waffles and your cereal, but look, it's not prepared neatly. Ha ha ha. This is fun.
It sounds like one of those like '90s montages, like you would see in like Mrs. Doubtfire or something.
Yeah. And the whole Carnage thing, like just after seeing it too, like it's really who cares because they did Riot in the first movie, which is like an even bigger, badder version of Carnage, even, because in the comics, Carnage came around first. So every time you had another one, you had to make him more than the previous one. Venom came out, he was crazy. So let's make Carnage. He's even crazier. And
Yeah,
so it's just Red Riot at this point. Like it's cheapened Carnage doing Riot first. So I don't know how they're going to separate this previously. Oh, instead of him being uh, an Elon Musk crazy guy. He's a crazy guy. We're just gonna take the businessman aspect out of it. He's still just a crazy guy. Like when you take it down to its core.
sounds
I have
like
I have
Darren Cross from the first Ant-Man movie.
yeah, he's the bad guy in the first one,
Mm.
pretty much. You know what I mean? He's just have this
Yeah,
this Elon Musk stand in. He has his own private space exploration thing. He
I
has his
also
own
heard they don't
research and
say
stuff.
symbiote correctly in the first movie.
I listen to people on YouTube all the time not say symbiote correctly.
True
Symbiote,
that.
symbiote. It's just symbiote. Like, go watch the cartoon, man. This is established decades ago.
I'm just. I mean, I'm never surprised at this point since M Night Shyamalan recordings of the how the names are pronounced and just like completely changed them. Like,
No,
why? Why would you do this?
so I'm with Eric on this. Like, I'm hoping the only expectation and hope I have for this guaranteed god awful movie is that it's fun or entertaining, which the first one for me wasn't. I don't know why. Like the pacing of it, the casting choices of it, it just doesn't fit. Nothing about it is convincing enough as as a visual story to rope-a-dope me in, and I've never been able to sit through the whole movie one time in one sitting. And this is probably the only comic book property movie in the history of comic book property movies that I haven't been able to watch in one sitting without falling asleep or wandering off aimlessly without realizing I just walked out of the room watching a movie. Like, I don't know. You start Venom up, wait 45 minutes, come back in the room. I'll be standing in the corner Blair Witch style for no good reason. Just over there in the corner.
I actually like this minus the funny part. Give Vince Vaughn another like 10 to 15 years, put him in the same role as True Detective Season 2, and call it Old Man Venom, and I'm in. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he was using the Venom just like it was Doc Ock, just walking around, little tentacles coming out from beneath his wardrobe, just wherever.
In the first one?
In this trailer.
Oh, when he's making the breakfast?
Yeah, it's stupid, man.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like garbage.
I mean, they tease Toxin at the end of the movie, like they tease Carnage at the end of the first movie. Yeah, that's just so stupid, man. Like, think about it. The first Iron Man fought Ironmonger, like Captain America fought Red Skull. Every character has their equal opposites, like you are me, but you're the bad guy me. So he's already fought the bad guy him. He is the bad guy, and he's already fought Riot. Now he's going to fight Carnage. Like, Venom doesn't have a rogues gallery of his own. You know what I mean? He's part of a rogues gallery. So it's Venom versus Venom. This is Venom versus Venom Part 2. It's just, who cares?
Yeah, and that's one of the issues I'm having with a lot of these comic book movies and stuff is they just go too far too fast, Like, I think The Dark Knight was the exception to the rule. It was crazy that he brought the Joker in so fast to me. I would have expected that in the third cap of the trilogy, but it worked well. But now you see so many comic books since then, they're like trying to go for the big villain as fast as possible. Like, why does Carnage need to be in the second Venom movie? Why wouldn't you set that up for like the cap on the trilogy when you're going to have all the money you need and everything,
Well, this is like a weird little time for Sony as well, with them partially handing Spider-Man to Marvel, and just sitting back and raking in easy money. So they're just trying to keep properties and see what can or can't work. But I don't think they're gonna, like, Morbius looks stupid. Like, just why would you make a Morbius movie? If you're trying to build toward a Sinister Six, why is Morbius your go-to?
Where were you when that information came out? Because that's what I was saying, and everybody's like, "Who cares? It's a Morbius movie." I'm like, "But why does that character need his own movie? Like, it only makes sense in a world where you don't have rights to enough characters to make movies about."
And they've got plenty of other Spider characters, and then
like, he was the one that was in the Spider-Man animated series in the 90s, right?
Yeah, but they wouldn't in the series. They had like restrictions on what they were allowed to show in a Fox Family animated Saturday morning cartoon. So he wasn't allowed to bite people. He wasn't allowed to draw blood. So he just had his hands with little suction things on him. Which I mean, you can argue that looks even more creepy than just fangs when you see him, and he would touch you and he would take your life essence. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, my point being though, like, that was a great role for him. Like, that was the perfect amount of him. They gave us some good backstory on him and stuff, but like a whole movie? That character is going to be the star of a whole movie? I don't see it.
So, like, we don't have Blade. Let's go with a different vampire angle. People love vampires.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but not like they did in the early 90s.
Yeah, and that's actually a quick way to drive me out. So
Interview with the Vampire, Blade, and I mean, there's a lot of vampire stuff back in the day. There's also a lot of Western stuff in the early 1900s. That's just the pinnacle of what you could do cinematically. But
yeah,
you got to go bigger.
I mean, you even had like Underworld at the beginning of the 2000s. There, you had the glitter vampires in the mid 2000s, like,
which are arguably my favorite. I'm just kidding. It's so original and fresh. Such deep mythos.
I always hate, like, I always appreciate like taking a big swing and missing, but like it drives me crazy when people try to stand on that as the defense. They're like, well, they were doing something different. Yeah, well, their different didn't work. It doesn't mean they get credit for doing something different. It just means they get credit for the effort.
I forgot who won the different award at the last Oscars. Oh, that's right. That's not a category. Yes, you don't get points for that. It is interesting that Venom decided to bypass Spider-Man completely to make it huge. They bypassed Spider-Man completely and made garbage. But I get them wanting to hold on to close properties and Venom's hot and everything. But the fact that they're still making Venom movies lets you know that Noel is nowhere in sight ever in the cinematic universe, the MCU stuff.
Well,
I know a lot of people are like, this would
see,
be awesome if they rush it to the MCU. You can't touch Noel for so long at this point.
yeah, well, that and like, I think we all think we understand these rights, but do we? Like, Noel was
No.
recently created, right? So,
Hmm.
do we really, honestly, truly know who has the rights to put him in a movie?
No,
Just
but
because he's like part of like all the Venom and
Sony has all these Spider-Man characters though. The only one that Marvel has is permission to use Spider-Man. We know that much. And Sony still
yeah,
is like the controlling factor in that. And yeah,
yeah.
if
I mean,
Captain
that's my
Marvel
thing
had a
is
whole
like,
movie, Morbius definitely can. Yes,
that's fair.
yes, that's so fair.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is like they pin these deals and all these contracts and stuff are so like tight on just like wording and everything that I wonder how it was, what was the phrasing that they used in 98 to recognize that something created in 2000 and what 12 or 15 or whatever, like that he is going to belong to Sony if he makes it to a movie. Like I have a lot of questions about the phrasing and how exactly the law would come down on all that.
I don't know. But yeah, Andy Serkis also played Caesar in the Planet of the Apes stuff. He also did the motion capture for King Kong and Peter Jackson's King Kong stuff. He's a great motion capture actor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how well he's going to be as a director for Venom
He
2.
yeah. He directed. He was part of a directing unit for Black Panther and the
There's a
not the Lord of
ghost.
the Rings, but the Hobbit movies. He ran like some of their B teams and stuff. You know, out recording other parts of the movie. He did directing on that. So
I'm definitely making him mad at Morbius not having suction cup video. I'm going to be livid. Yeah, we need to see
right.
that. That's going to be epic. We're definitely sharing that everywhere. Maybe Andy Serkis will use his mocap skills to get better performances for the Venom and Carnage scenes. There's some major potential to make it a really spectacular, make it a spectacle, dude. And yeah, I just have no faith in it, man. It looks
That's
it
isn't that
looks
what I
just
said in
like
the
the first
chat the
one.
other day?
I don't know.
Like I expect Andy Serkis to deliver on great CGI and great motion caption and deliver the spectacle of these two larger than life creatures fighting each other, you know. But I don't know, everybody the way they talk about the trailer sounds like the movie's not going to be able to set the stuff up to get there.
Dude, I don't know who directed the first one, but you can't tell the difference.
It
I
was
don't
a
know about
different
you.
director, but I don't remember who.
I don't know about you, but when you look at certain movies, it's almost like looking at artwork in a comic. You kind of recognize like, oh, this is that artist or that is this artist. Like directors have like certain visual signatures on movies. You can tell a Lord of the Rings movie is a Peter Jackson film. You can tell when you're watching a David Fincher movie. Like you can just tell. And these Venom movies look like one solid movie. They don't look any different.
Yeah. Let's see.
I love
Directed by
Andy. Yeah,
Ruben
wishes Paul did it
Fleischer.
Darth by on with the CGI at the end. Yeah. Oh man. I think Sony has too much of a hand in making the movie. They're going to want to do it their way, which hasn't been the way in a while. Yeah, I wish. I think Sony's trying to play this weird competitive second fiddle to Marvel instead of just. I mean, they don't have anything to step back and make anymore. They don't have the creative rights to properties that would be able to step back and make an independent film. And they showed that with Fantastic Four, just a ditch effort to throw something out there to keep the rights, and it didn't work. But if you had properties like the Fantastic Four, and you wouldn't just throw everything at it you had, and to hire like amazing writers and teams and everything to actually make a solid movie, that's the first family, man. That was their last chance. Now all you have are a rogues gallery in the franchise, and you're giving up a piece of the franchise. So I don't know. I think it's weird that the vet has me calling Spider-Man the franchise now. I don't even really call him Spider-Man.
Right. So check this out. He directed Zombieland, 30 Minutes
Fire,
or Less, Gangster
fire,
Squad,
extra fire,
Venom, Zombieland Double Tap, and he'll be
hilarious.
directing the Uncharted movie in 2022.
Oh, that's good. Dude, did you watch Gangster Squad with Josh Brolin and Ryan Gosling?
Mm-mm.
It was shot and it was completely made and set to release right before the Aurora, Colorado shooting at the Dark Knight
Oh, yeah.
premiere. And there's a scene in the trailer for Gangster Squad where it's literally about the police going after the gangs as hard as they go after other people and in their method. There's a
Mm.
scene where the mob is like lined up behind a movie screen with all their Tommy guns out because there's one person in the crowd that they're trying to get, and they just unload from the opposite side of the projection screen. So
Oh, damn.
they had to postpone the movie, cut that out of it, take it out
Yeah.
of the trailer. But it's a fantastic movie. Yeah. Well,
Look,
we had
here's another.
Bat Vulture or whatever Michael Keaton played, and he's in the trailer for Morbius. So, well, who knows what they're trying to do?
See, that's the other thing is like, sure, Jared Leto is a great actor, but I'm gonna need him to prove that he can make Morbius interesting enough to get a whole movie, the way that Homeboy did the Vulture, and now I'm like, yeah, I can see the Vulture carrying a whole movie by himself. But until they convince me that Jared Leto can carry the whole movie by himself as Morbius, I'm gonna need something that's not a movie of him.
Well, in my opinion, it depends on how much they try to lean into some kind of shared universe thing or anything. Because I mean, the
That
idea of
too.
being affected by it, like, just take the fact that he's a comic book character and he has a history with Spider-Man out of it. It's just another like scientist trying to find a cure, infects himself kind of story. You know what I mean? And if you just lean into that story, there's potential to tell a good story. So it's going to be how much they're going to try to teeter the line with some kind of continuity or want to lean into this or tie into that. And the fact that they're tying into Far From Home or Home, whatever the stupid Spider-Man movie was,
No Way
Homecoming,
Home. Oh,
Homecoming, the
Homecoming.
first one, yeah. So they're already tying their hands behind their back trying to do that. Just get away from this continuity. You're not the MCU. You have a unique angle that you can go at this where you're not restricted by the continuity, and you have open season to tell a good story. Do it. Do it. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for the Uncharted because I like action adventure stuff. It's like modern Indiana Jones almost, but I have no clue about the video game because it's not on Nintendo 64.
I played the first I think the first three Uncharted games, and I love them. Like the characters are great. The modern Indiana Jones twist is like really good. It's very well done. It doesn't feel like they're trying to do another Indiana Jones, if that makes any sense. Like the character feels unique to himself, and it doesn't feel like they were just trying to like play off of Indiana Jones the whole time. And you get like this more modern swagger about him and stuff. It's all like up to date, and I hope that the next Indiana Jones that they're unfortunately going to make turns out to be something awesome. But I don't feel like it should be like updated. Like give us Indiana Jones out of time. Like let him be a misogynist and let somebody call that out a lot. But that's not what Uncharted is. Uncharted is very like more modern and up to date, and it has some great characters. So I am interested to see that movie.
Well, I just know that with the new Indiana Jones, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks that it'll be better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's a top shelf flick right there.
That's a high bar
High bar.
to reach.
No way you're beating that. Indy
Oh my god,
dodging
I hated
bullets
that
fired by
movie.
Ruskies. Refrigerator stopping an atomic blast. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're making a Silver Sable movie or not. We can all pray they don't, but
I
they
hadn't even
probably
heard
will.
about that, but let's not.
So Keaton the Car is
Yes.
incredible.
That
Theory Doctor
turn,
Strange
man.
is going to open the multiverse. Aunt May dies. Peter goes into the Venomverse. We meet Gwen Stacy, and Sony Spider-Man movies will be trash. Yeah, that the last part of that is true at this
It's
point.
hard to keep up with what all's even going on there, but yeah, and yeah,
Hold on.
Uncharted is a
Oh,
very well made game.
yeah. I wish I knew more about games, but I don't.
I mean, that's my most current video game knowledge, probably. So, 15 years old, give or take.
Uncharted is
Yeah, Uncharted was
great.
like a PlayStation 3 launch title, which would have been 2006, 2007.
Hmm.
So that was the first one. The second one was on PS3. I think the first three, the original trilogy, is all on PS3. And then they had one on PS4. I think they did two on PS4. But I only played the first three on PS3.
Video games will suck the social life out of you. Well, the kids did that already, so I'm afraid of what else they might take from me. So
I know, right?
I'm cool with it. My son's fun to hang out with. My daughter's at that age where she's like starting to develop her own little personality and stuff. And turns out she's pretty cool. Who would have knew? It's an anniversary. There's a reason that they'd be enemies, is there? Yeah, not at this point, other than the eating people's heads, like Spider-Man might still take. You gotta send him to jail.
Venom is starting to sound more and more like one of those Mortal Kombat type of movies where they're like, okay, we got to create our own character because they haven't already given us one. What original idea are we going to do that people won't hate? Everything. It's all going to suck. Why do you need to change it all?
The woo woo. Here's Pocan Joe back with the woo woo. That was
The woo-woo.
alien woo woo. That definitely was. They're not even
Yes.
aliens or interdimensional beings. Woo-woo.
Yes.
And I think
Oh,
woo
that
woo
pissed
was
me
actually
off
the
to no
sound it
end.
made when the crystal skulls came
Whoa,
together.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So it was
Oh, I hated
confirmed
that.
woo. It just didn't have very much cool mythos and lore to it. Like they tried for it, but there was not, like with Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Last Crusade. There's just so much cool lore in it because a lot of it is like kind of like based off real things, like the Knights Templar, the Ark of the Covenant, stuff like that. It's just always more
Well,
entertaining.
and they never felt magical. Like that was the thing. The Ark of the Covenant to me, like, never felt like magical. It all felt like super grounded, despite everything that was going on. The Crystal Skull thing, like, it just felt like a straight, like, I don't know, magical Deus Ex Machina, just out of the sky, save the movie kind of moment.
Well, in all honesty, this might be a little weird, but what got me is if you watch Temple of Doom, it's kind of like almost like witch doctory, like the guy doing the ritual, pulling hearts out with
Hmm.
voodoo dolls and stuff like that, like literal voodoo dolls. But Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade are heavily steeped in Christian mythos with the Ark of the
Yeah.
Covenant and the Holy Grail. So they pretty much confirm those things. We see the Ark of the Covenant, we see the Holy Grail. So we have those things confirmed inside the Indiana Jones mythos. So what does it do to confirm Christian mythology when you introduce interdimensional aliens? It kind of just like you
Yeah.
just lost your consistency inside of your franchise.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me mad.
Yeah. It's that suspension of belief, What?
Oh, that's the little chant, the little chant from Temple of Doom. Yeah. All right. Well, my mom's got a big sorority shindig thing she has to go do because no matter what, she's still a sorority girl. And,
That's cool.
so I'm gonna go kick it with the little one. She's been napping, and my mom's been hanging out with us. They've all been asleep on my couch.
Yeah.
I see her stirring. So we've been here for about 55 minutes at this point. I appreciate everybody who's hung out with us. Be sure to go check out the Cosmic Campfire. A lot of good things cooking over there. Content dropping daily from us, and come hang out with us
Yeah.
again this Friday at around
I should
4
have a
4:30
video up, in fact.
today.
Yeah, 2:00.
No. Yeah, it's 2 o'clock right now. Oh, you have a video that just went up as we're talking?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
it was scheduled.
Yeah, and
And
you
then I
guys
have another one I
forget.
dropped this morning, so that's 2 today.
Well, chill out. But Yeah, Friday morning I'll be trying to go live. Robert Cerna, thank you for stopping by, man, and I definitely appreciate you hopping in the chat as well. But Friday morning, roughly 7:30, I'll try to be going live with Tyler from Whack Comics. This guy right here. We tend to hang out on Friday mornings, and because Ryan lives in Candyland, where time is not relative anymore, he might still be asleep when we go
No,
live. We don't know.
it's not relative; it's fixed.
Yeah, it's completely fixed. That's what I said. Time is not relative anymore. But then on Friday we'll be hanging out on the Cosmic Campfire that afternoon, normally between sometime between 3 and 5 Eastern time. It's not set in stone, but as long as you have y'all's notifications on, you'll definitely know ahead of time. So come chat with us again this Friday afternoon for pre-weeks in. At that point, we'll have read a lot of these books. We'll be giving spoiler-free first impressions of them and talking so much more. So yeah, appreciate it, everybody. And until then, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion. Let me wait because Ryan's typing. You got it? You good?
Yes.
All right, just
Yeah.
making sure. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Peace.